Well, there was Florentino on Spanish public television. The interview was done by Alex Rodriguez, who, look, was my colleague back in the day when we did the internship in 2004. Great journalist. I'm also really happy for him. Today's interview was unexpected because it seemed like he wasn't going to give many interviews. Florentino, but he did it today on Spanish public television, and now we're going to listen to it. But I swear to you, make no mistake, I know that here, if you're watching me, it's the usual crowd. And I really appreciate those of you who keep watching this channel and who keep supporting me. Because no, these haven't been easy days. Around 1,000 or so subscribers have left and the views have dropped. I mean, no, I can't lie to you. That's just how it is. And because there's a witch hunt going on and I'm just left here. But I'm stunned by the toxicity. The finger pointing that's been going on since the famous press conference by Florentino Pérez on May 12th, incredible, just incredible. But anyway, that's why I say, and someone told me, no, now he's backtracking. Now it turns out you criticize Riquelme for some things and Florentino for others to make us see that he's not just on one side or the other. Those of you who know me, and there's no need to anyway, those who know me know that I say whatever I want here. I don't defend everything about anyone. Specifically, if I see gray areas, I say so, and I have no problem with it. That's why I've spent several days criticizing some things about one candidate and other things about the other, and praising some things about one and others about the other. I don't have any problem with that, but well, as we always say, people are going to say whatever they want. They're within their rights, and if they don't want to listen, they won't. If they've already decided, they'll stick with it. But I'll also tell you this, no matter what, look, I feel the same way Andres Martinez does. I think he summed it up very well in this line. He says, Florentino Pérez always makes him feel uneasy when he appears. He's going to win, simply because he will, but now it's just faith in him. Nothing more, he says. Maybe that's what most closely matches what I believe. And it's true that there's a part, I haven't decided how I'm voting. I'm a member, and I still haven't decided, but there's a part of me that says, vote for Florentino. Damn, you've lived the best years of your life as a Real Madrid fan. How could it be any other way? I mean, all I feel toward Florentino Pérez is gratitude. I mean, it's just that. But I and all Madrid fans, including the one who's now running against him to take the Real Madrid presidency, Enrique Riquelme, we all thank Florentino. The problem is that a lot of people don't stop to listen when some of us have doubts. Maybe we just don't see him at his best, physically and medically. Yes, because in that sense, I think he's in good shape, and I'm glad about it. He said, no, they're saying I have illnesses that I don't have, and he's already shown that he's very healthy, and I'm glad about it. And besides, Florentino, hey, well, the more he's willing to fight, to take on challenges, it's something to celebrate in a person, right? And well, that's what has become most clear to us during these days, because there have been many things that he hasn't made very clear to us, but that he's in great shape. That's clear to us, or at least that's how it seems. Physically, there are things he doesn't quite explain, or at least not in his statements. He keeps insisting over and over, and I still don't understand the need for elections. Why? Why now? No, because as we're about to hear, there's a campaign against me and all that. I don't know, like, it's directed at me, but really against Real Madrid to destabilize the club. And so that's why elections. And you think, well, was it necessary? I don't think so, but he must have his reasons. And by the way, one thing, and I said it in that video where I explained why. I went to a podcast that I was invited to, where they invited me to collaborate, and they offered it to me 3 days before Florentino's press conference. That's why I later made another video saying someone from inside must have leaked that Florentino wanted to call elections and they would be betraying Florentino. That's what I think, because it's not normal. Who? We thought there were going to be elections at Real Madrid, that Florentino was going to call elections. The press conference was on Sunday, May 10th. That's when they told me, Sunday, May 10th. And Florentino holds the press conference on Tuesday, May 12th. Well, look, this is the most important part. Then there's the sports side. But this is the most important thing Florentino has done in this interview on Spanish television.
He was noticing moves.
Wait a second. I have it sped up here. Wait. Damn, I have it at 2x. Look now, let's go.
I was noticing a shadowy move that aimed to destabilize the club through me. And I, since I still believe the club belongs to its members, said, let's call for elections. Whoever wants to be president, in the end, you tell yourself, when you see the candidacy, the members like them, the members. It's the darkest period there has ever been.
But that thing about Calderon's people, I'm going to cut it off. That thing about Calderon's people, but Calderon was on his board of directors. At the beginning, Enrique Riquelme was 15 years old when the thing with Calderon happened, which he explained today in that statement. I mean, I think here, just like the other guy does when he talks about privatization, I think he ramps up the rhetoric and overstates it. Florentino does the same because it sounds powerful. He exaggerates because it sounds powerful. They're the same people. Maybe even Calderon's son was there. Okay, fine. And his father, Riquelme's father, was also on Calderon's board too. Well, okay, but of course, when things happen to coincide, he turns it into a big deal or an absolute truth, right? The other guy does the same thing with the whole privatization issue and some other stuff. Well, in an election campaign, this message sounds flashy and powerful. Well, okay.
In the history of Real Madrid, they say that this man asked for a loan at 54% annual interest. But how can you ask for a loan at 54% annual interest? No, sir, I'm just saying what the numbers say. No, I'm not making anything up.
I'm saying what Bloomberg says. I'm not making anything up. I've looked into this whole issue because Enrique Riquelme published it in that statement, and today he also gave an interview to La Vanguardia. We'll read some of what he said in a moment, where he claims that's false information. Well, here's what happened. Florentino Pérez used this information attributed to Bloomberg in recent days to attack Enrique Riquelme, basically saying what Florentino just said now, right? He requested a loan with 54% annual interest, which is absolutely crazy. And Florentino says it's unheard of, okay? However, Riquelme's campaign responded by saying that this information is completely and absolutely false, and has maintained that Bloomberg ended up correcting it because they had received false and biased information. They added that the outlet apologized to the campaign. That said, I haven't seen any tangible proof of Bloomberg apologizing to the campaign. Maybe they did apologize to them privately. It's possible. That's what they claim. Riquelme's campaign. The key point is there were two separate operations. Be careful with this. Bloomberg was talking about a bridge loan of 60 million granted by a fund whose interest could theoretically rise up to 54%, even 82%, depending on delays and conditions. Riquelme argues that the main operation to purchase Iberdrola Mexico was actually financed through a $2 billion bond issuance at 7.25% and never with a loan at 54%. Now, if that 60 million bridge loan exists as part of this operation, well, I don't know about that. And no, honestly, I don't know how these things work. This is the kind of thing where there are many truths within the same story, right? And here, everyone takes advantage of the angle that suits them best. For Florentino, it's a way to discredit Enrique Riquelme. But only Enrique Riquelme truly knows how the operation happened. But anyway, now Florentino is going to say that this shows it's not a serious ticket, and they're not people you can trust with Real Madrid's stability. Well, the fact is that in the information published so far, there hasn't been a detailed public correction from Bloomberg explaining the error point by point. That's right, they haven't issued that correction. Riquelme says Bloomberg corrected themselves and apologized. Maybe Riquelme should explain it to us too, right? In upcoming interviews, it's a shame Florentino will now refuse to debate him. It's unfortunate there's no debate for them to address these issues directly. We live in an unbelievable world. People used to debate, and then you would listen to both sides and draw your own conclusions. Now, either they don't debate, or they don't listen to each other, or they ask questions and the other person never answers. We're used to seeing it in politics and everywhere, right? And there's also something that's really trendy now, which is that the one who's got the upper hand, the one in power or whatever, when they're asked for a debate, they say no, because it doesn't suit me. And anyway, the one who doesn't want to debate is usually afraid of something. He's scared of something. Meanwhile, the other, with nothing to lose, fears nothing for that reason. He says, if I'm already losing, I might as well go all in, right? If I'm going to lose anyway. Florentino says he has a lot to lose in a debate. He must have some apprehension. If he's not afraid and his management has been good for years, except the last two, then he should defend it. He shouldn't have any problem, right? So if he doesn't debate, anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. I insist, this isn't just a back and forth of, okay, I'm going to criticize Florentino and then strategically criticize the other guy. It's just that I keep telling things as they are. And those who know me, I think you already know how I am. What comes to mind is that, I don't know, I think in this matter of not debating Florentino, well, it's not that he's making a mistake. From a club member's perspective, it doesn't inspire full confidence. I'm speaking as a club member myself. There will be members who vote for him, who have blind faith in Florentino, but I would like Florentino to talk to a member who has spoken with many other members and has received a lot of questions and concerns from them and so on. And damn, someone who comes with an alternative project. I would like Florentino to defend his project with someone across from him challenging him, because in the assemblies we only have question and comment periods and that's it, and a member shows up, says anything, and that's it. That's it. That's the only opposition Florentino has had at Real Madrid in the last 20 years. Damn, so if a guy shows up with another project and all, let them debate, right? I think so. I think so. But well, now I also understand him and his candidacy when they say, hey, why complicate our lives if the polls give us 80-20? 90-10, of course, it makes sense.
There's a feeling that he came because he needs the club for his company.
Yeah, but that's already an attack. The personal or professional attacks weren't started. They weren't started by Riquelme. It's clear that Riquelme started by criticizing some aspects of Florentino's management, while also in the same breath saying that he's the best president in the history of Real Madrid, etc. I mean, talking up Florentino's stature. But the personal and professional attacks, but Florentino started them. And with this whole self-interest angle, with this new phrase, he didn't say it at the press conference or at yesterday's event, it gives the impression that he came here so that Madrid would help his company.
Is he going to debate? No, let him talk as much as he wants. I speak here and I explain everything, but I explain it to you. Does Florentino Pérez want to?
Well, anyway, I explained that to you. It's clear that he's talking on Spanish public television. Everyone is going to see this later. And in the end, I'm explaining it to all of you as well. The members are going to hear it, but it would be really cool if you explained it directly to the members, debating with the other side. Didn't you call elections because you thought they were necessary? Well, there's a guy who's running, who's making a financial effort and all that. Damn, so talk to him. Come on, I don't know. It's just that I read people's comments later. Why should he debate? At least we want them to debate. I mean, well, damn, maybe you don't want it, man, but as a member, I want them to debate.
Privatize the club? The people suggesting that are the bad guys. We have suffered many attacks.
The ones who say that are the bad guys. I'll say it again. Maybe Riquelme is exaggerating with the word privatize, but this whole thing about good guys and bad guys, well, of course, it's kind of in line with those who are coming, Calderon's people. Well, this is older than politics itself. The ones who are coming are the bad guys. That's also a campaign slogan, an unofficial campaign slogan, which is that what's coming is terrible. Does that sound familiar? The same thing is happening in Spanish politics, isn't it? No, with everything that's going on in Spanish politics, man, with everything that's happening, and they just say, right? Because the others are worse. What's coming? Oh my God, the far right. Oh my God. Well, it's the same thing, but anyway, they all do that. A lot of them do it. Now, a little side note. Florentino has gone to Tele Pedro. Florentino has been on Tele Pedro. Look, I have a lot of affection for many people inside Spanish television, but he was there. I mean, I don't even want to think about what it would be like if the other guy had been on Tele Pedro, I mean, on the television of the Socialist Party and the government of Spain. So, the Socialist Party, right? Of Pedro Sanchez. What they're saying that Riquelme is aligned with Pedro Sanchez? Wow. Good thing Florentino went, or else it would have been wild.
La Liga contributed to them wanting to take away Real Madrid's financial income to distribute it among all the clubs. Something unheard of.
This is about CVC, and Florentino is absolutely right here. Absolutely right. And there, Madrid and Florentino stopped the CVC deal, which was a disgrace, and they also acted behind our backs and all that. This, I mean, 100%, not a single word to change.
We managed to stop it, but I came to the conclusion that the only way, let's say, to protect our assets is to transfer the value of the club to all the members.
This leap, this step, I just don't understand it anymore. I mean, the CVC thing was because La Liga wanted to commercialize our club's TV rights. And wait, you're not going to lump us in with the rest of the clubs. No. Where are you going? Where are you going? But of course, this is different now, isn't it? So, since we don't want Tebas to get his hands in here, the club, which already belongs to the members, each one has, hey, their membership fee. Okay, it's not monetized, right? The club belongs to its members, who are also the owners. And it's 100%. And now Florentino wants to change that. No, come on, you're going to make it 90%. And the other day, I'm going to sell it. So he says, well, I'm going to do that to protect Real Madrid and so that its value goes to all the members. How? Well, we sell a part to know how much it's worth. That's what Florentino said at the assembly. And then, knowing how much it's worth, we tell each member, you have 100,000 or 90,000 or 80,000. This is what you get. Well, okay, he hasn't gone beyond the message he already gave at the assembly. He hasn't told us how that's going to work. He hasn't explained anymore. Hopefully, he'll explain it in this election campaign and won't wait for a delegates' assembly, right? Well, there are about 3,000 delegates there who, in theory, represent the 100,000 members. So there you go. Well,
I want the estate to pass to their children when someone dies and is buried.
Anyway, being a member already passes from parents to children, but I imagine he's referring to the issue of how they're going to assess each member's participation, right? He said more or less that each member would have 100,000 euros. Florentino said it himself the other day.
What are they saying? That he wants to be president, that this and that, but he doesn't even be old enough to be president. And he simply helps us.
And here I was talking about Anas Lagari. Like I said in the video the other day, I would be interested in supporting Florentino in everything because, damn, he says he's going to give me 100,000 euros. Florentino, to me, as a member, is going to give me 100,000 euros. But of course, then the debate would end here, right? Well, what do you want me to say? If it's true, just say it. And honestly, going from not having it to having it is awesome. But, sorry, but there are things here that I just don't understand, and I want someone to explain them to me. And I want someone to explain them to me. And I see Florentino sticking to the same line. I mean, it's there in all 3 or 4 of his talking points. And it raises doubts for me about the future. The other one even more. Because the other one, even if he comes with new ideas, I haven't seen him manage. But I have seen Florentino do it. And maybe that's what still makes me lean a bit more towards Florentino. It's a shame those who left this video after I criticized Florentino won't hear this. For now, I lean more toward Florentino for the same reason Andres Martinez mentioned, because I know how he is. It's just faith. It's pure faith. But the current situation is concerning. It's exciting that what he did in the past, he can keep doing. I mean, what he did before, he can keep doing in the future. But this way of presenting himself, well, it raises doubts for me, just like the whole Anas Lagari issue, which they asked him about very well to Alex here. My good friend Alex Rodriguez, who asked him about Anas Lagari and says this.
He has nothing to do with it. He knows very little about soccer, to tell the truth. But he knows, let's say, about the technological world. The great revolution that Apple and Real Madrid have made, they've built together. Anyone will.
They claim Anas Lagari can't be Real Madrid president due to his short membership. But how did he even become a member? It's not inherited, and he doesn't explain that. Well, yes, it's just one. Okay, all right, that's it. But he's a man who's now in the shadows. We don't know exactly who he is. He claims he's a technological phenomenon and that the whole Bernabeu Infinito idea originates from him and his partnership with Apple. Fine. Also, there's the technological hub he plans to build in Valdebebas. I imagine this businessman, a great Moroccan businessman, must have been very important. And, okay, but we're missing information, especially about how this gentleman became a member. But anyway, the thing is that the whole Bernabeu Infinito thing seems like a great idea to me, and hey, fantastic. If it's awesome, great. Just like one thing makes me doubt, the other doesn't. To me, Bernabeu Infinito and the alliance with Apple seem wonderful. What's more, it's great for a lot of people who can't go to the Bernabeu and so on. Hey, on top of that, they want to buy and acquire this. Great, because there will be passes for this too. They'll be virtual, right? A guy in Kuala Lumpur wants to see the Bernabeu through his glasses. Awesome, really great.
Wherever he is, whether he's on a mountain or in his living room, he can just put on some glasses.
It's tough on a mountain because of coverage issues.
to see a unique experience. It's like really being at the Bernabeu. They're definitely going to transport us to another dimension.
Well, that's what Florentino was saying. And then on the sports side, they ask him about Mu, and he says, I haven't spoken with him. Yes, in this case, I have spoken to him. Mau is a good coach, and he leaves it at that. He asks if Vinicius will extend his contract and why he still hasn't. And he says, well, I don't know if he's going to renew, says Florentino. But the good thing is that Vinicius and Real Madrid care a lot about each other and all that, and it has to be sorted out, but he doesn't know if he's going to renew. The sports part is kind of brushed aside. But anyway, the sports part is limited to saying we have the best players and that a good coach will lead them into a very important era in the future. Well, Ancelotti has been here, and yes, for some, he has led them through a very important spell with Bellingham, with Vinicius, with Rodrigo, with Fede Valverde, and so on. But since Mbappe arrived, no, Ancelotti, Arbeloa, and Xabi Alonso haven't managed to connect with these players. But Florentino says that a good coach is going to come who will do it. Well, it's the same thing. It's an act of faith. It's believing in this. Okay, and another thing, that in this Saturday's Champions League final, Zeffirin has invited him, and Florentino says that he's going to tell Zeffirin that he's going to present him with the famous dossier from these last 3 years, and so on. He said, no, I repeated what I told him before at the press conference with Pedrerol and everything. No, forget about the last 3 years. Show him everything that's been archived. I mean, everything that's been accumulating in the criminal case investigation. Everything that happened after Zeffirin learned about the Negreira case, someone came up to him and bent his ear, and then Barca was invited to the following Champions League seasons. All of that with referees testifying, with Freisa and company talking about the obvious and incriminating themselves. With all that has come out, with a civil guard report that's dozens of pages long, and an investigating judge, the previous one because he retired, Judge Aguirre, talking about systemic corruption within the refereeing establishment. That wasn't there when Zeffirin said this issue was very serious, and now Madrid wants to get it to him. But you know what? We already brought it to them before, with Juan Luis Martín de Pozuelo leading the way. That was to UEFA. UEFA already has it, but not because of Madrid. Even though Florentino says he'll defend Real Madrid against anyone trying to harm it, and that he acted very quickly in the Negreira case and all that. That's what he says too. He mentions Negreira. It's the biggest corruption case in history. Real Madrid is lucky that I'm here. Well, I'll say the same thing again. No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so, because let's see if it's there. Let's see if that excerpt is there. Let's see if that excerpt is there, because no, well, it's not here. Okay, whatever. We've heard it already. He said it. I'm also at the end of the interview. Because of the famous phrase about Madrid and Barca has to help itself, what do you want me to say that he said in an assembly in 2024? So he wasn't doing everything he was supposed to do against Barca. In the Barcelona Negreira case, he should have acted a year and a half earlier when the case first emerged. Some also claim Florentino knew about Negreira years before. Do you remember that interview on El Larguero on Cadena SER where someone from Barca asked him about Madrid? Why does Madrid win fewer leagues than champions? And Florentino said, honestly, if I told you the truth, you wouldn't like it. Maybe he already knew. I don't know. But Florentino boasts that it's a good thing Madrid has him in this case, and that he's going to present the dossier. The dossier that's been announced for months still hasn't been presented. Look, I don't care if half the people have already left. These things make me doubt. But that doesn't mean the other one is very good. This doesn't make me say that Riquelme could be a better president of Real Madrid. I think what Riquelme is doing is winning people over, part of the club membership, to win on the 30th. That's it, because Florentino is going to win these. But I can say that I don't like either of them in the sense that neither of them convinces me. Although with Florentino, obviously because of his past, I might lean a little more towards him. But there are things here that I don't understand, damn it. Well, that's it. That's the basis of what I've been saying for a very long time. But anyway, I had something else around here. Well, things that Riquelme has said. If you want, in the next one, we'll talk about that. Well, they're talking about a specific coach, about a specific one, who would bring Riquelme to Real Madrid. Regarding the coach claiming he still has a club, well, Riquelme has spoken in La Vanguardia about the Super League, and he says it meant going against the world. If what he wanted was to put pressure to improve the conditions for the clubs, then you go and negotiate with UEFA. But what Florentino did was grotesque, taking this project hand in hand with Laporta to El Chiringuito. The project was dead on arrival. Here I agree with him on one thing, taking it to El Chiringuito and all that, but not on another. And with that, Florentino has managed to beat UEFA in court. And now we don't know exactly how. But in what way UEFA? Well, if not, that UEFA document suddenly talking to Madrid when Ceferin had said all sorts of things about Madrid and Florentino. When Madrid was threatening UEFA with a 4 billion euro lawsuit with filing a complaint for 4 billion euros for money that Real Madrid would have lost because they weren't allowed to organize the Super League. There are still parts of that we don't know, but battles were won against UEFA, and that could have benefited Real Madrid. I think so. So I'm not entirely in agreement here with Riquelme. Regarding the Negreira issue, Madrid should have acted immediately. If I were at Real Madrid, we wouldn't have gotten along because I'd have taken it all the way. I agree. That's what the Real Madrid presidency should have done. But hey, maybe now he can say this, because if he were president now, he'd say, well, it's already in the past. Because Florentino didn't act, we'll now get along with Barca. He says, Barca has been lucky that I've been president all these years. So, Florentino says that Madrid has been lucky that he's been president, and Riquelme says that it's Barca who has been lucky that Enrique Riquelme hasn't been Real Madrid's president all these years. He'll escape consequences after one of world football's biggest scandals because action wasn't taken in time. He's also calling for Florentino to be penalized. And he's right about this part. But I still have doubts about what he'll do from this point on because the issue is still alive. Well, and about the coach, he says, there has to be a structure and a hierarchy and everyone has to know their place. I'm not a fan of a heavy hand. There just has to be discipline, hierarchy. Mourinho, he says, isn't part of my plans. Ask Mr. Pérez. Basically, he doesn't want Mourinho. He doesn't want Mourinho. He wants someone else. I'll discuss him in the next video. Otherwise, this will drag on. How long have we been going? 28 whole minutes. My God. Some complain about the length. Some complain about everything. What can we do? Hope everything goes well for you. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel. Please comment, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.